Hello, my name is Steve Rohrig, and I'm the AVP of training here at Senior Market Sales.
My name's John Summers. I'm one of the directors on the annuity side here at SMS.
And we're excited to be here, John, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we're glad you can join us for the launch of our new and updated core retirement decisions guide.
Yeah, and we needed to update it. You know, we've updated it a couple of times over the years, and I think maybe a good place to start, Steve. Let's just maybe talk a little bit about the history of not only our core retirement decisions guide, but maybe how it became a guide and how it transferred from a white paper and even a roadshow we had started. And in fact, I looked it up because I couldn't remember when we started doing this. July 15th, 2013 was in the middle of our roadshow series.
Okay.
July 5th, think about where you might have been July 15th.
12 years ago.
Yeah, 12 years ago. Well, we were in Charlotte, North Carolina, talking about the new foundation of retirement. But it was interesting. We realized with a lot of our agents that embraced Medicare and Social Security that there was a unique opportunity for them to get in front of maybe new prospects or people that needed help navigating Medicare and Social Security.
Yep.
And we had agents that would embrace one or both.
Okay.
And then we had agents that maybe ignored both, thinking I don't make any money doing that. Maybe more on the assets under management side, or they were more advising on other things. But as their clients aged, they realized, man, I'm getting more questions on Medicare and Social Security.
Yeah.
So we hit the road, and we, at the time I think Medicare was going through some unique changes. If you think about where the world of Medicare was in 2013, and Social Security was as well. We partnered very closely with Covisum at the time. It was just Social Security Timing, a software program that quickly and accurately helped a lot of advisors determine maybe the best way for their clients to elect for Social Security benefits.
Yeah.
And that was a unique idea. This is, again, 2013, so this is pre-Bipartisan Budget Act, which was passed in November of 16.
Yep.
Which eliminated some of the spousal benefit strategies like filing and suspending benefits or restricting an application. But, again, in 2013, there were a lot of different ways to maybe optimize Social Security for an individual, and even more so for married couples. So we were trying to train and educate a lot of our agents across the country on ways to do what you see here on the screen, which is instead of just starting with savings and insurance and investments and talking about legacy, we advocated that there's a new foundation of retirement planning, and it's embracing social insurance, and it's Medicare, including Medicaid, and talking about long-term care planning. We talked about Medicaid as well and how that worked, and did the same with Social Security. So as you can imagine, with all the regulatory changes along the way, we had created a few white papers to help our agents navigate the complexity of this landscape. So that's where this came from. And then, we'd be, I was looking, we were in Detroit, we were in Kansas City, we were in Houston and Dallas and Charlotte and Phoenix. We were kind of all over. And no matter what, we would go through the white paper, which was designed for agents, right? We're trying to educate agents on these changes. And almost every time we got the same question. And that was, this is a really good piece for me. What do I do for my clients? And we'd say, well, for Medicare, use this piece. For Social Security, use that piece. And it was like 4 or 5 different resources that would probably be best for an agent to use if they're dealing with a client. So we thought, light bulb moment, why don't we create a guide that matches what we put together for agents, but so agents could use it with their clients? Client-facing piece, exactly right. And that's where the retirement decisions guide initially started. And, at the time, it was mainly navigating Medicare, Social Security, some of the core retirement risks and decisions. And, you can see the old guide, if you will, on the left. And
the OG.
The OG guide on the left there, that's right. And the new guide we've put together there on the right. So what's cool about this for me is just kind of seeing, with all the changes, it went from white paper mentality, more of like a learned piece that you need to read and go through, to maybe more of an interactive workbook. And, over the years, this has been one of the most requested pieces that we've had on the website. Part of that is for the guide. You can customize and have it printed. And this could be, again, it's not really, we don't want it to be about us. We want it to be about you, the advisor, to your client. So you can customize it, make it your own. But we also realized that there was a timeline in the middle, which, if you think about, Medicare is definitely a good example of an age-based decision. At 65, you got to make a decision, or you think as much as you know about Medicare, you got to do something, right? So when you're going through the planning process, it's so easy to push off things as a consumer, as an individual, just push off some of the things that you should be thinking about when it comes to retirement planning.
Yeah.
And you probably kick the can down the road and kick the can down the road. But then when you have some of these age-based decisions that you have to make a decision for, it lowers that sales inertia. It lowers that resistance to want to plan.
Yep.
And now you're thinking, I got to do something, right? I mean, at 65 and maybe even at 62, I know I can get Social Security benefits. Should I? Well, I think I should wait till full retirement age, but I don't know why. That's just because my neighbor did.
Yeah.
You start to have these questions, right? So it's a natural time for advisors or agents to start to bring this information up proactively to clients as well as potentially marketing prospects. So throughout the course of the next 20 or 30 minutes or so, we're going to kind of unpack a lot of what I just talked about with lowering sales inertia and marketing with these types of strategies, how you can use the core retirement decisions process to kind of evolve as your own process, and a lot of the different things that, I used to say this when we were on the road 12 years ago.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an expert on Medicare. In fact, if you don't know Medicare, I'm not advocating you just learn everything about it and become an expert.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is your clients have questions. You need to be able to answer them in a good way and a way that you are worthy of putting your name on. This is the way I would recommend you investigate the opportunity to know more about Medicare. So that's why we created Medicare Back Office. We'll talk more about that. But I just think whether you're going to write it, have a trusted referring outlet locally, or have a referring outlet like we have with MBO, you have to have a solution for it, right? That's how I'd be thinking as a business owner, as an agent or advisor. There's a few things that I may not be an expert on, but I know my client's going to need it.
Yeah.
So how can I connect through partnership and create maybe referral-based opportunities in my local market or in my national market?
Yeah, that's awesome. So that obviously the timeline, all these important age-based decisions, gets people the mindset of getting things done and moving forward. So let's focus on the time guide and how it could be used within a practice, right? So we've got a couple of versions here. We've got, if you want to hold yours up, you've got the handout, right?
This has got the handout. This could be sitting on the desk if you wanted it to be, or this is something you could have almost laminated or hard stock like this, just sitting right on your desk to be able to sit down and walk through it with somebody. But one of the things I've learned over the years from a lot of just borrowing a best practice from top advisors, most of the time with my top advisors, at least with their top clients or any of their clients they're meeting with on a consistent basis, it's not always to talk about past performance of products.
Yeah.
I think what's really important is what we're doing to help you and how we're kind of looking out for your future as a client of ours. And the timeline, I think, gives you almost just a centralized place to start, right? Where are you currently? It's almost like the "you are here" marker, the mall kiosk. You're right here on the timeline. Here's what's coming down the road, and we can help you with all of these decisions, right? You probably already have questions on X, Y, and Z. You might be having these conversations with your friends or your family because if you're turning 65, you probably have friends about the same age as you, and you probably have people that you're asking for information on Medicare, as an example. Could be the same with Social Security. Could be the same with understanding what the heck happened with the Secure Act 2.0. I thought we could stretch an IRA. I guess we can't now. What's happening? So there's just a lot of ways that you can proactively have what I call future pacing the conversation. Here's where we're at today. And whether you know it or not, Steve, we're already planning on your future. We're already 2 to 5 years out of what we're here to do to help you navigate. We're already having these conversations. So now we might need to prioritize some of these conversations, and I want to know what's bothering you most, or what's on your mind in the next 5 years that you want to get done. If we've already navigated your goals in retirement, how do you want to live in retirement? Are we doing that? Are we ahead of schedule? Where are we, right? So if you think of it that way, do you have if you're having that conversation with your clients now, what are you doing? Are you pulling up their financial plan and evaluating it? Are you still trying to create one with somebody? This might be a good starting point to have that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously that's the consumer handout version. A lot of advisors give it to, and agents give it to their clients. But we got something here. We got to lift this up. It's going to be a while here. But anyways, this is, if you can see it here, this is a framed, I believe that's 24 by 36. But we've got a lot of agents and advisors actually put the bigger version in their lobby, right?
Yeah, and thanks to all the changes, we've had to send a few out. We have to constantly mail out updated copies, so we've had a few iterations of it. But that's exactly right. I mean, that's on the wall, and a lot of our agents just kind of point to it and explain it that way instead of having the handout. It's really become a part of their practice, and maybe it's sitting in the waiting room before they meet with the agent, or it's sitting right in their their space where they're meeting with clients.
Yep. And there was one more thing I want to touch on too, as well as, these age-based decisions. And I think about the demographics we have today here in the United States. We're at the apex, of the silver tsunami. The trailing age of the boomers. We're at a record pace here: 10,000, 11,000 a day turning 65. Like every 8 seconds, someone turns 65 in America. So it's amazing. So
it is amazing. And, you think about where we were 12 years ago when we were on the road having a conversation. It was get ready for what's about to happen. And we're right in the middle of it now.
Yep,
So, I mean, it's still happening. And you still, to your point, Apex, I believe, last year and this year. But there's still 8-9 years of 10,000 people turning 65 every day. You still have a lot of the baby boomer generation aging into these key decisions. And if there's anything we've learned as well over the last 6 to 8 years, there's been a lot of regulatory changes that just give you an opportunity to, we've had to change the timeline. Just think about RMD age going from 70 and a half to 72, 73. It just keeps changing, right?
It does, yeah.
So we've had to make a few changes to the timeline. But that's the reality of what our clients are dealing with too. The changing landscape. We already know the trillions, the $100 trillion wealth planning opportunity.
Yeah.
Things are going to change. Right?
40 or 30 or $40 trillion that are in IRAs, 401ks. Just huge opportunity out there.
Massive, right?
Yeah.
So my guess is there'll be some regulatory changes that keep a few people on their toes, and that's a good reason to be working with the right agent or advisor that's up to speed on what's happening.
Exactly. So thanks, Sean. I appreciate you going through the timeline and the important age-based decisions. So let's go into now the update to the core guide itself. Another option we have, more of a work-based, a workbook, client-facing piece.
Yeah, like we talked about. For a lot of our agents, this has become kind of their process, if you will. And I'm a big believer in just empowering through education.
Yep.
If you educate people on the landscape, on what's happening, that's really where we start, right? And then you just help guide into making a good decision based on their situation. And what are the key things perhaps to consider? We started with Social Security. You start about income planning. You kind of start with what's guaranteed and what maybe you've been planning on paying into for your entire life. Let's start there. Most people understand the benefit there. And then kind of get into withdrawal strategies and guaranteed income. That introduces the idea of maybe a pension-like income or an annuity that could be used. A lot of our agents use the mindset of let's guarantee the income you need for what I've always kind of referred to as just kind of your hug money. Housing, utilities, groceries, things you need to live off of comfortably in retirement. Wouldn't you feel better if 100% of that fixed income, that income you needed in retirement was guaranteed? So if all we did was optimize Social Security and create guaranteed income either through your pension at work, which you may or may not have, or an annuity to generate the income you need, if all we did was guarantee that and invest the difference, would that help you sleep at night knowing your lifestyle doesn't change if the market goes down 20% in the next 6 months? So just taking some of those potential conversation feeler questions, this is an easy way perhaps to have the conversation. And that's what a lot of our agents do is they'll guarantee a majority of the guaranteed income necessary in retirement and move on from there. And then, what do you need to do in order to have guaranteed income? You need to kind of fix some of your expenses.
There you go.
And so Medicare, you need to understand what are the potential costs of healthcare costs in retirement. How do we put enough aside today to make sure we've covered the medical costs? What are the potential costs, out-of-pocket costs for a Medicare plan or my health insurance in retirement? It is funny. There's a lot of people that put off a major procedure until 65 or older because they think it's going to be cheaper with Medicare. Is that true? So having those conversations and probing for that information, I think this is a natural way to do it just by educating a little bit on the ABCs and Ds of Medicare. And that's just kind of built into the guide. And then we get into, what does Medicare not cover? Maybe we talk about extended and long-term care costs. And that, again, is just an easy way to have a conversation. I've heard a few different statistics. The one I seem to see the most is about 76% of people are going to have some kind of extended care need in and through retirement. So that's 7 out of 10. I see a number, there's a need there, and you want people to be able to, especially post-COVID, get the care where they want to receive the care and have the conversation. It's just, again, we're just kind of probing for, of all of these things, what are we going to prioritize first? What's most important to you now? This guide, I think, does a good job of going through a lot of these key topics, enough to have a conversation and say, hey, we just talked about guaranteed income, talked about health insurance in retirement, talked about potentially long-term care. Now we're going to talk about legacy planning and maybe evaluating your current life insurance that you own. What might you need? What does that look like? Again, you can just have a really high-level conversation until we dive deeper in any one of these topics, this is a great way to begin the conversation.
I agree. So enough to educate your clients, make them feel good, but then set that up for a future meeting. So,
Correct.
Yeah.
And I love the idea. You talk about the guide. I mean, the very first page, I think it might be the next slide too. The very first page is your goals are focus, right?
Yeah.
So helping people understand what's your goal in retirement? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah. So John, great job going through the various planning areas of the guide. But I know something important here at SMS is process, right? Whether helping our producers and advisors build one, or if we can see how we can maybe enhance theirs. Yeah.
That's exactly right. I mean, I think whether you know it or not, or whether you've documented it or not, it's funny.
Yeah.
I deal with a lot of agents who say, well, I'm yellow pad and this is what I do. I'm like, well, that's still your process. You're asking a lot of the same questions,
Sure.
getting a lot of the same information and doing a lot of the same things with it.
Yeah.
So you have a process, whether
Yeah.
you call it that or not, you do.
Yeah.
And then I have a few of our top advisors that have gone as far as naming their process, giving their process a name, a definition, and a style.
Yeah,
Right? And
definitely.
really building that in. And so the idea here was to kind of give you, if you don't have a process, or if you think you don't, you probably do.
Yeah.
But this gives you maybe a little framework around it. And one of the things we've always found very advantageous is, what are you trying to do in retirement? Let's not talk about money. If money wasn't an issue, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to go to every state over the next 10 years? Are you trying to travel internationally? Do you not want to leave your house? You just want your grandkids to come see you.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And that's when I think you see a whole different conversation with people, right? They can kind of almost light up to talk about what's going to energize and excite them in retirement.
Yeah.
So if our job is potentially just to make sure you can do that comfortably, have health insurance where you need it, when you need it, if you are going to travel, they take all of that into consideration. Well, that's your goal in retirement. So if our process is just to make sure we can empower you to go do what you want to do,
Yep.
how can we do that, right? That could become the framework of maybe your retirement process with people.
Yeah. And I like this because it gets perspective of both people, in the relationship, because they may or might have the same aspirations, right? But more
That's right.
importantly, just client engagement. Make it personal, create loyalty to them. So you mentioned engagement earlier, but also to maybe giving clients some homework to do, right?
Yeah.
And so you mentioned the budget process and the income gap, and we got a couple of ways to maybe early on help our clients, build some clarity about where they want to go and where they want to be. So maybe let's start with the checklist, providing order and structure to really a lot of decisions along the way. So
Yeah, Steve, I think when you deal with people, and that's really what we do, right? We're dealing with people all the time. People are funny. I mean, in my opinion,
I know I'm funny. So.
Yeah, sometimes we're
Yeah,
funny.
yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
they're not funny.
Yeah.
But some people are funny. And, we've had situations where a client walks in and they know to the penny what their monthly budget is.
Yeah.
They know exactly if someone ordered DoorDash one more time than they thought they did. I mean, they have it down to a penny, right? That may be more your style. You've got the budget down a little bit, where I might be more, it's within a wide range of something, right? So even just a quick little, let's get organized.
Yeah.
What's your budget? What do you know? These are great places to get started.
Yeah.
But then the retirement checklist, kind of what you have there is the to-do list,
Yep.
things that you can do, ways that you can engage your client and say, well, have you gone out and logged into SSA.gov? And
Yeah.
do you know where your Social Security statement is? Do you know what your approximate benefit would be?
Yeah.
Some people are going to say, "Oh yeah, I get that letter. I know exactly." And others are going to say, "It's out there. I don't know what it is."
Yeah.
And so these are things you can do to get organized a little bit.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of helping people understand where they can go to get some of this information and kind of have that be part of the to-do list.
Yeah. It could be as easily as just reviewing rollover options, or maybe consolidating many accounts into one or two.
Right.
Simplifying their life, right?
Yep. And heck, we talk about it all the time too, just to add to this too, just beneficiary reviews.
Yeah.
And making sure, you'd be amazed how many people establish a trust and don't assign any assets to it. So, I mean, there's just things you need to do to get organized in the right way. And that can be added to the to-do list. And it's a great place to level set and to start for a lot of your clients, because then it makes all the planning aspects easier when everything's been organized and brought to you in a different way.
Yeah. So I just love that, John, giving clients, some homework to do and some follow-up items, and just as important, to get them working down that path, right? Let's switch gears now. Talk about marketing, right? So you have all these age-based decisions that your clients are faced with, whether it's Medicare, Social Security, RMDs even. But what are some ways we can maybe do some age-based marketing, whether it's emails, social media? What are some things we can offer?
Yeah, there's a lot of options there, right? I mean, I think what's good about age-based decisions is when people are definitely thinking about it,
Yep.
and maybe when they should start thinking about it. So if they're existing clients or people that have maybe engaged in your marketing one way or another, that age-based decisions an easy time to maybe try to proactively give them a little bit of guidance. You also know when people are most likely searching for that information.
Yep.
So if you're out there proactively trying to draw people towards you through any other marketing medium, when people are probably searching, so what information might be relevant.
Yeah.
But we've for years found a wide net marketing opportunity is going to be those age-based decisions, right? So Medicare, Social Security, there's sought after topics, there's opinions, and there's facts about how it works.
Yep.
And people might hear opinions from friends or their plumber or their neighbor. I mean, I've heard it all, right?
Yeah.
So you just never know. So where are they going to get information? So I think you can kind of connect a few of those dots. And from our perspective, being able to get 25, 30, 40 people in a room and have a conversation on a workshop or an educational event has been a really good way to get in front of a lot of people on a specific topic, right? So from a marketing perspective, though, we do have through Nextech and through some of the tools we offer, the ability to email market based on if you have a CRM system that's up to date, you should know the age of your clients. When they're aging into those decisions, you can proactively reach out and have that information provided to them. Otherwise, you get a wide net, right? You could be targeting a large audience either through email, but love the idea of educational events to get people together, not to sell, just to explain how things work. We talk a lot about empowering through education. It's just educate and let's help them understand, hey, I can help you get from where you are on the timeline through retirement.
Yep.
And this is what we do. This is how we do it. If all we do is one thing and we do it really well, focus on that one thing.
Yeah.
We deal with a lot of agents with different philosophies on how they run their business. I think that's really important to be able to hit. But we're seeing, especially, I don't know why, if it's just, a couple of years removed from COVID, if maybe some advisors that were doing events didn't come back to the event marketplace, or if there was just a big pent-up demand for people that had heard about it or thought about it or it worked so well, we quit doing it.
Yep.
We're starting again. But we're seeing educational events back in a big way. Good turnout at events, good business coming from those events, and just kind of filling up the pipeline. But one thing I've noticed, Steve, and one thing I've always suggested, if you're in it just to try to make a few sales and get out of it, I wouldn't go this route. I mean, if you're passionate about educating people, this being part of your process makes a ton of sense to me.
Yep.
And if you already have a book of business, let's just say, for example, you've been working with or writing Medicare directly, and you have a book of business, well, you have the opportunity to invite a lot of those existing clients on a different topic.
Yeah.
If you're on the financial side and maybe you've never touched health insurance or long-term care, we have the opportunity to invite your clients to an educational event. So there's just you can spend a lot of money on marketing.
Yep.
I can help you spend a lot of money. I'm trying to help not spend a lot of money. And there's some really good options that you can do at little to no cost to get some of these conversations started.
Yeah. And then also too, within the marketing system itself, we offer, scripted slide decks, compliance reviewed, all that stuff to really take that off your plate, for the agents and advisors we work with, so they get in front of people with great content. And also too, the guide itself, I think that's a great giveaway at a workshop for the attendees, whether even it's Social Security or Medicare or even all aspects. It's something tangible they can walk away with that can be branded with their info.
Yeah, great point. If you're tuning into this right now, there's a few things I think you should do the second we're done.
Yeah.
If you haven't already seen the guide, you've got to go download it or reach out to your marketer and get it in your hands for that exact reason. If you're doing any events or just to keep on your desk or be able to get it digital so you could send it out proactively, great information, brandable to you. But we have a lot of other resources that are available, whether it's the slide decks or the invites and some of the other educational pieces. We've got hundreds of pieces available, many of which are customized. So that's what I'd be thinking, right? What are you sharing? What's the message? At least go check out the digital library. If you don't have access to it, you should definitely reach out to our marketing team to make sure. They probably do have access to it, but don't know where to go.
Yeah, exactly.
So make sure we can get people where they need to go to get it. But no, that's why we create these pieces. It's not for us. It's not our brand. We want your information on it. And this is, we started with a pinwheel. We always kind of joke about the pinwheel, really the wheel of core retirement planning. So maybe Steve, talk a little bit about this, and then I'll chime in on a few things and how we kind of put this together.
Yeah, you bet. So this was actually in the original guide itself. We have actually added a couple more spokes to the wheel, but the idea here is to get people thinking about all aspects of their income plan, whether it's distribution planning, protection planning, taxes, legacy, all those things that merely make up a really comprehensive and quality plan. But we find is that some agents, advisors do one part of it, some do it all. So speak about the ways that we can maybe partner, if people only focus on maybe a handful of things within the wheel. So.
Yeah, I think that's the key, right?
Yeah.
I hate to go back 12 years so many times, but I think about where we were 12 years ago and where we are today, and just over the years, a lot of our offices that we work with, I don't do X, but what they did is they found somebody that specialized in it, right? And Medicare is the easiest example.
Yeah.
Mainly because I used to love asking the question. I'd go to a lot of maybe broker-dealer conferences, or I'd be in front of more of the financial advisors in the room.
Yep.
And my assumption is many wouldn't do Medicare. I'd say, how many of you get questions from your clients about Medicare? And literally 90% of the hands or more would go up.
Yep.
I'd say, how many of you personally are writing Medicare? And almost all the hands would go down.
Yeah.
And I'm not advocating you go learn everything there is to know about Medicare, but what I'm advocating for is have that solution, right?
Yeah.
If it's someone in your local market you could refer to, great. We have a team here at SMS that I'm very passionate about, Medicare back office. They're salaried benefit advisors, so they're paid a salary. They're not receiving commissions or eligible from trips from the Medicare companies. Their job is on referral only from advisors to work with their clients to navigate the complexities of Medicare.
Yep.
Talk about the A, B, C's, and D's, what it does and doesn't do, if they're on the right plan, if there's a different plan they could move to, understanding the benefits. I mean, everyone on this call, especially if you've ignored Medicare, should at least be knowing that's available to you. And if you have a local agent you love to refer to, got it. That's great.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can really say, well, I don't need to do it. My clients, everyone turning 65 needs to know more about it. So that's an easy one. But same can be true with a lot of these other options, right? Do you have a local estate planning attorney or somebody that you would trust to put a trust or even just the basic POA paperwork in for your clients to have that information done? Is that an opportunity for you to create a relationship with somebody you don't currently have, just in case the need arises? Same's true with tax planning.
Yeah.
So there's just, in my opinion, there's an opportunity here to be thinking about your clients differently and proactively create a trusted network of professionals that you can reach out to for any one of these things.
Yeah.
And maybe there's a few that you see as an opportunity to take on in your future learning as well.
Yeah. I maybe see Social Security is one of those, top of mind for a lot of people for many reasons today, but we offer a couple of outlets that we can offer, optimization reports on behalf of your clients. So
nothing easier, right? If someone has questions on Social Security, again, we have some of the documents and information to provide on how it works, but then just a quick output on here's your age, here's the age-based decision. Let that be the cornerstone of your retirement income. It's COLA adjusted. It's backed by a government promise to pay. There's a lot of easy things that you can do. You can help them go get their statement and figure out what it's going to be. It's just a great place to start. And again, we have a number of different ways that you can generate a report or build it into the overall income plan. And that's just a part of our overall platform, right?
Yeah.
I'd love the opportunity with anyone on the call. Our marketing team is phenomenal at going through all of the producer platform pieces we have, right? So a lot of technology, a lot of different tools and resources, a lot of different products, of course, but there's just a lot out there to navigate. So you can go navigate it on your own on our website, but I think it's worth a quick call to your marketing specialist you already work with, or reach out to our marketing team. We'll make it very easy to connect after this webinar. Yeah. I think it's really important to go through and just know what's available to you, because we keep bolting on more things and we have more resources. Even if you've been working with SMS for 10 plus years. I talked to an agent that's been working with me personally for 15 years the other day, and he's like, I didn't know you guys had that. We added it like a year ago, but we're constantly adding more things. So always a good reason to be in touch. I know it's hard to track your email and catch every email we send on everything. So we try to make ourselves very available to give us a call and go through this. But whether it's putting together your process, minor tweaks in marketing, new ideas, ways to get in front of more people, or to do more with your existing clients, we always love the opportunity of talking with you about your business and ways that we can be a part of it.
Yeah. And we appreciate the time and attention that everyone's given us today. But here's how we can connect with each other. But also, there's a survey at the end, John. So if you have some immediate interest in some of these tools, let us know through the survey, or call your marketer. We're here to help, right? And we're just really excited to bring the core guide, the updated version, to the masses. And we just feel that the possibilities for impacting in a positive way are endless. So.
Really appreciate it, Steve. And as we conclude, I think I looked through a lot of our top overall agents with SMS, and I was looking through the list just the other day of kind of where we're at year to date with some of our top producers. It's amazing to see the growth a lot of our top relationships have had. I mean, some a couple 100% growth year over year. I mean, it's just phenomenal growth with some of our top relationships. And it's the efficiencies within the product lines they might specialize in. But in a lot of those top 10 situations, it's adding additional services and products. And it's not necessarily going out and spending more on marketing to more people. It's figuring out, of the clients I work with, what additionally do they need and how can I support it? So I just challenge you to think through that, right? What is your process? What could we do to help? And then from a product perspective, those that have been diversifying their product offerings have risen in the ranks of the SMS family of agents, which we're really proud to have. So
awesome. Great job, John, as usual. And thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.